series?
Oh, well, no, Bert, I have to say we did, well, my first couple of years I made $200 a show, and then both Jack and I were given a raise to $225, and that was it. And we did have residuals, which were very, very nominal at the time, and we did run out of the residuals in 1965. So it was, shall we say, a not very productive show for us, frankly.
Well, you were doing 2 a week. It must have been hellishingly hard work.
We did. We shot them like a very quick, short, cheap movie. We usually started about, of course, 8 in the morning and worked till 8 at night, which was the longest they could work us guild-wise. And at first we were working 6 days a week, and then the guild rules, we had to stop at 5. So it just kind of made the days longer. But we got so used to working with each other, as they say, all the office scenes, they would say, okay, kids, stock positions, you know, in front of Perry White's desk, and away we would go with the dialogue. And sometimes we hardly knew which episode we were in. We would film all the action scenes or other scenes with the other characters in a particular show. And then maybe at the very end of shooting, we would do all the office scenes for either 13 or 26 shows. And, you know, you just go from one to another, and it was quite hard to know or remember whether you were sad, happy, thrilled, or what.
Sure. What was your reaction when they approached you to play Lois Lane's mother?
Well, I was quite thrilled. I had talked to an organization that handled the publicity for the Salkinds here in Los Angeles, and they had been aware and knew where I was, what I had been doing, and also Jack LARSON, and they had an idea, depending on how things went as far as their script, that they would try to work a little cameo scene in for me. And of course I was just thrilled. I was thrilled. Really so excited about it.
Do you have children, Noel?
No, I don't, Bert. Kind of strange for being Lois Lane, but I guess I just have to kind of mentally adopt all the college students.
Sure. Well, evidently, whenever you appear at colleges, they just go absolutely wild about you. And I'm told that whenever someone like yourself, or maybe Kirk Allen, does an appearance at college, they don't like too much a send-up of Superman. They take it pretty seriously.
Oh, they do, Bert, they do. They just, he's a legend to them. And as they said, we grew up with you, and the college boy students are very nice enough to say that they were in love with me when they were 5 and 6 years old, which is, I said, oh dear, too bad, I'm so old now. And several of the ladies, young girls that I have had the pleasure of meeting at, say local television stations or newspaper offices in whatever town I'm in, have said that when they were little and watched the series, that I, as Lois Lane, gave them an inspiration to get into, working in newspapers and radio and television as a woman. And they said you were probably the first women libber and didn't really know it.
I know that Lois Lane didn't, but did Noel NEILL marry in life?
Did I what, Bert?
Did you marry?
Yes, I have been married, Bert.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Speaking of...
Twice.
Twice? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, twice.
Well, you've done twice as good as Lois Lane, haven't you?
She's going to come close in the movie, and that's all I can tell you.
Or just let me ask you one question about that. As her mother, and as somebody who knows Lois Lane so well, how did you feel about Superman and Lois Lane basically making love on first contact?
Well, of course, in the series, we could not allow any romance because of making them for largely a child audience. So we had to be very careful. In fact, I never even got a friendly peck on the cheek from Superman in the television show. But it's certainly going to be a lot different in the movie. It's, I don't know.
We'll just have to wait and see. Noel, you say that the college kids and the adults that you meet on campus around America say how important you've been to their lives. Let me say that there are so many Australians 14,000 miles away from you at this moment who feel that you, in the character of Lois Lane, were very important in their lives. We're into our 19th run of Superman here in Australia, and you are very important to us.
Oh, Bert, how nice of you to say that, how kind, and I'm just thrilled that, that our show reaches you and that you like it enough to watch it.
Well, and let me just say one more thing, and this is no reflection whatsoever on the lady in the film, because I'm sure Margot Kidder is going to be absolutely beautiful, but so far as one Bert Newton is concerned, there has always been, and will always be, only one Lois Lane, and I've been talking to her.
Oh, thank you, Bert, so much. You have made my day. You have made my day.
Thank you for taking the call.
Thank you so much, Bert, for calling.
Goodbye now. Bye-bye. And there we spoke to the most famous Lois Lane of all, Miss Noel NEILL. I'm very pleased to say we have on the line at the time, 25 minutes past 11 o'clock, the gentleman who played Jimmy Olsen so successfully in the Superman series. I'm sorry, 25 minutes past 10, I should have said. I've got on the line Jack Larson. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Bert.
Nice to talk to you.
It's very good to talk to you.
Jack, did you realize that the Superman series was going to be as long a runner as it turned out to be?
No, I had no idea. At the time I did the show, originally, the movie industry, I'd been under contract as a kid actor to Warner Brothers. I'd worked for Raoul Walsh in a couple of films, and in the very early days of television, there was only live television. The studios closed down. They were so threatened by Milton Berle and this early success of live television. But there was no film television, and I had when the studios closed down, had gotten the theater bug, and I had toured a play with Dolores Costello and Albert Decker, and I wanted really just to get to New York. I didn't want to do any more acting in films. But I was offered, at this point, being free of my studio contract, I was offered to do the television show, Superman, and I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to go to New York, and my agents and people advised me. They said, look, you could use the money, do it. It only means like 5 months' work. No one will ever see it. Just take the money and run. And so I decided to do it, and I didn't expect it to have either the success, the visibility, or to go on like it did. And actually, that was 1951. It went on the air in 1953, and then we became household faces, kind of worldwide. Took me by surprise.
Jack, in those years working on the Superman series, whilst you more than likely have very happy memories of your working partners, the work itself must have been pretty rough.
Well, it was very hard. As I said, we were one of the first series ever filmed as opposed to live television. And they had no restrictions, union restrictions. If you were under contract to them, you would work 6 days a week, and the only thing they had to give you was 12 hours between calls. In other words, if you left the studio at 8 o'clock at night, they couldn't call you before 8 the next morning. And if you had a running part in the series, you did maybe 20 pages of dialogue a day, every other line. So we worked really day and night, and later they went into 5-day weeks. Sunday, you were absolutely in a coma from, being exhausted, and then Monday was coming up with another 20 pages. Very hard it was.
Sure. I believe, Jack, that you had a great respect and a wonderful working relationship with the man who played Perry White, John Hamilton.
I did. John was a kind of actor that's disappeared today. As a matter of fact, many of the people that worked in the show, one of the great pleasures of doing the Superman show was that they hired really marvelous character actors. A lot of the people I'd admired from the old Warner Brothers days, George E. Stone, people such as Sterling Holloway, they would play our running characters, villains, heavies, we called them. They were all actors of a different kind than happened in the late 50s. The whole New York kind of oriented, realistic actor came into visibility. But at that time, there were actors that were from the grand days of American acting, members of the Lambs Club and such. And John Hamilton was that kind of an actor. He was certainly Mr. Hamilton. He could have worn a cape, actually. I always called him the Senator. He had a marvelous bearing and was a sweet, wonderful man, but very courtly. He might have appeared with Ethel Barrymore. He didn't. He certainly appeared with Lionel Barrymore. But it was a totally different kind of an actor, and it was a great pleasure to work with him and have been exposed to that kind of a performer. Later, everybody became the people next door and naturalistic, but these were great old gentlemen and ladies. And matter of fact, I had the great good fortune of working. The last thing I ever did before I quit acting was to do a film with Ethel Barrymore. I got co-starred with her in a film called Johnny Trouble, and that was extraordinary because you were working with a grande dame.
Now, you say you gave up acting. Now, I know that you've had many pursuits following your acting career, but what was your motivation, Jack, in giving away acting, which had been so good to you?
I think that I think partly what I had just said. One, I ceased to enjoy doing it. I had loved working with a different kind of actor, the people from the Alfred Linfontaine School. I ceased to enjoy it when acting became less of a pleasure to do, when people agonized and they were working towards, we'll say, naturalism, though I was very interested in being natural, but I was very interested in working for pace and bits of comic business, learning a different kind of acting. The entire business became permeated with what we in the United States call method acting, and though I admire many method actors, it wasn't so much fun to work with them. Also, I had always written as a kid. I had written, as a matter of fact, that's how I became an actor, was through writing and giving myself good parts in these things I wrote when I was about 14 years old. I was more interested in writing progressively as the years went on, and I was doing the television show, and I felt that I never wanted to do another television series. And once you become so well known and tight in a television series, you know that you're not going to be doing films. I had done films. It's very rare that a television actor gets the opportunity to do films. Once you're well known, you walk in. Matter of fact, if you're interested, I can tell you a bit what George Reeves' experience was. I was one of the few people that observed it. You're not going to get an opportunity in films, and the thing you do get an opportunity to do once you have an identity and a popularity in a television series is to do another television series, and that I never wanted to do. I had done it. I did it for 8 years, and to this day, there is no job that I wouldn't rather do than to do another television series. It takes too much out of you, and unless you're interested totally in the financial reward of it, there's too little reward for it.
Jack,
I didn't enjoy fame that much.
Were you going to tell us an experience that George Reeves had?
Yes, I will. When we shot the series in 1951, as I said, I don't think anyone knew that it would reach the popularity it did. It didn't go on the air. We shot it for Kellogg's cereals, and Kellogg put it on the air in 1953. I went off to New York when we finished doing the show. As I said, I was maddened with lust for the theater, and I wanted to be on the stage. And there was also live television in New York, dramatic shows. I went off. I didn't know we'd ever shoot any more Superman shows beyond the first 26. Hello? We're having interference.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I can be heard.
We can hear you.
We each worked, who had done the early show, before it went on the air. George did a film, From Here to Eternity, and with a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, with Montgomery Clift. And George had a major part in that film. He played Stark in From Here to Eternity, which was a major part in the book and a major part when the film was originally shot. Before the film was previewed in the fall of 1953, the Superman show went on the air, became an instant success, And at the preview, I went to that preview due to Monty Cliff, not due to George Reeves, and was at the Archeo Pantages Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. And when George came on the screen, see, no one knew he had done Superman. Fred Zinnemann, who directed it, didn't know that. The studio didn't know it. All the studio brass were there. It was the biggest film of the year. When George came on the screen, this preview audience began to scream Superman. And this monumentally important film was compromised because of the presence of Superman in it. And he was doing a serious part, seriously performing. He was wonderful, but they recognized him as Superman. And they started to scream Superman. The studio didn't know what had happened.